Welcome into Friar Territory, presented by Fox One. I'm Kyle Glaser, alongside Heath Bell, here to break down the Padres' offseason blueprint. Heath, the Padres have been eliminated from the postseason for just over a week now. It feels a little bit longer. And while the playoffs are still going on, teams can't really make any moves yet. It's not too early to start thinking about what the Padres should do this offseason in terms of who they should retain, who they should go after in free agency. We are here to break it all down. I want to start with your thoughts on what direction the Padres should take. Where should they focus their resources? How do you feel like they should approach this offseason?
Okay, so I'm kind of a little weird on this offseason. So you've had this team, we the first half of the season you pretty much had a hole in the bottom of the lineup. Then the trade deadline you pretty much filled the hole. But you didn't really do much in the playoffs. So you definitely need to bring back a left fielder. So I think Ramon, perfect guy for that. You could bring maybe another guy in just, as a utility outfielder. Just see, whatever. Then the biggest thing, here's the thing. I kind of unless Michael King wants to come back, I'm kind of like not a big deal or whatnot for the Padres starting pitcher. I would kind of let all our free agents walk in that aspect. And I would go get Bo Bichette and try to see where Bogarts is going to go. Are we going to move him to second, or are we going to say, hey, let's stick him at first base? He doesn't have to worry about his range and this and that. He's got a good hand, so he could be able to pick the ball. Because he's going to be on the team for the next couple of years. So you got to figure it out. He can't be your shortstop and win a World Series, for the next 5 years. It's just not going to happen. So you got to move him now. Is he going to be your second baseman or first baseman? And then if you move him and decide to second base, then you put Cohenworth at first base, or you kind of do something risky. And I don't want Jake to go, but you try to trade him and try to bring back some defense or some guys off the bench. And then here's my big key that I think the Padres need to do. Stack up their AAA team with veteran guys and overpay them so they go to AAA and say, look, we're going to need you. We're going to overpay, but we're going to need you in reserve in AAA. And we just want you to be there all year until we call you up.
All very, very legitimate possibilities. I think there's no question the Padres certainly need to improve their depth. They certainly have some things they need to figure out in terms of their lineup and whether it's the same guys, different guys, how they want to line them up defensively. And there are going to be some starting pitching holes we'll address. We're going to dive into all of it pretty deep. Heath, I want to start actually with a letter that John Seidler, the Padres control person and chairman, wrote to Padres fans. It came out Tuesday, shortly after we finished recording our show, naturally. But there were some interesting lines in there that I think it's important to hit on. So the first paragraph, he just started with, thank you to the fans. You guys are the best in baseball, typical stuff. I want to read what comes next, verbatim. While we have made the postseason in 4 of the last 6 years and had 2 consecutive 90-win regular seasons for the first time in franchise history, we fell short of our goal to win a World Series championship. Our elimination in the wildcard round was a disappointment and exposed areas where we must improve. As we look ahead to 2026, our goal remains the same, but we need to get better to accomplish that goal. The process of getting better will begin immediately as we perform a thorough review of our organization with an eye towards improving and winning our first World Series championship. Then he signs off with a thank you. Heath, when you see the control person, the chairman of the organization, for all intents and purposes, the de facto owner of the team, say, as we perform a thorough review of our organization. As a player, what does that tell you?
First thing that comes to mind is front office. I think Peter Seidler kind of let AJ and his team do whatever to get whatever. And I think they're trying to assess what did Peter do? I mean, he was trying to basically win a World Series by buying it, kind of what, the Yankees did probably in the 90s. But they were trying to get the best players and spend a bunch of money, this and that, where you have to do it a little bit more. You have to be smarter in that way, spend your money smarter. and find out where it's not working. Like, because we can make trades, but if we're dumping our minor league system every year, but then here's the other part: we trade away our guys, and they get to the big leagues. The guys we bring up aren't absolutely studs. The guys that come up from the big leagues, and Jackson Merrill almost won Rookie of the Year and kind of had a down year, got hurt a little bit. And I still like the guy, but other guys that came up didn't do really well for us, but with other clubs did really well. Or the guys we didn't get called up went to other clubs and have done well over AJ Preller's span. And he's probably starting to see, like, okay, what's going on? We had these guys 7 years ago, 5 years ago. Why didn't we bring them up? So I feel like they're going to look at the front office and kind of look, if you don't have a bunch of money and you don't have a bunch of resources, can you make good decisions? That's kind of where I'm thinking. I mean, and then also I'm thinking, the minor league coaches, are they really developing guys? Or are they just kind of there? So that's kind of what, as a player, I'm thinking front office coaches, not really big league coaches, but kind of where our offense wasn't good and we really went bad. And then our only offense turned around is when we got new guys. So not saying our hitting coaches are bad, but what did they do? They didn't help our guys get better. They kind of helped our guys get worse, unfortunately.
So we know, as Kevin Acey of the San Diego Union-Tribune reported, that AJ Preller will be back. He only has 1 year remaining on his deal. Mike Schilt, the manager, will be back. He has 2 years remaining on his deal. But there's no question, whenever the control person promises a thorough review, that inevitably means changes will be made, whether that's on the coaching staff, whether that's in the scouting department, whether it's rejiggering, titles and seeing, maybe creating different positions for different people to bring someone in. Minor league system evaluation. It's going to be a wholesale review of the organization. And I think there is some validity to it. Again, the Padres are coming from a place of strength, back-to-back 90-win seasons. They're in the playoff position the entire year. 2 years in a row, they've been in the division title race the final week. This isn't a dumpster fire organization. Let's be clear. This isn't a disaster organization. But there are certainly some things that can be improved. And you hit on a key point. One of the biggest shortcomings of this front office has been they are very, very impatient with young players, both in how quickly they promote them up the minor leagues, and also when they get to the majors, they don't give them any time to acclimate. They expect them to be stars from day one, like Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill were, but those guys are the outliers. All you have to do is look at who the American League MVPs are, going to be this year. Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt, all of them really, really, really struggled their first year and a half in the majors. And it's a situation where I do think the organization needs to not be so quick to pull the trigger on some of the young guys they bring up and also give them more time in the minor leagues. That is a fundamental philosophical change that needs to happen. And in terms of the big league roster, Heath, there are going to be some decisions that have to be made. And I want to start with, again, you talked about bringing in Bo Bichette, and we'll absolutely get to that. But the first step is figuring out who you are bringing back of your own. Before you go out and sign anyone, you have to take care of your arbitration guys. You have to deal with club options. So I want to start with the arbitration eligible players. The Padres have 7 of them: Adrian Morejon, Jason Adam, Gavin Sheets, JP Sears, Luis Campusano, Mason Miller, and Freddie Fermin. Their arbitration projections, their estimates, it come out to about $25 million total for those 7 players. I think it's fair to say, look, we know you want to bring Morejon back. You want to bring Adam back even with his injury. Sheets, Miller, Fermin, those guys are coming back. The question is JP Sears and Luis Campusano. Campusano is only projected to make $1 million in ARB. JP Sears, 3.5 mil. Would you bring those guys back, or would you non-tender them?
I'd bring Sears back. I would non-tender Campusano. I bring Sears because there's potential and you need starting pitching. Yeah. He might be a guy that here's the other aspect. Does he have an option or not? So, because if I can't send him out, then I have to have him the whole year. Then kind of have to see, he's probably my last guy I would make a decision with. Yeah. Kind of like, am I going to go get a starter? Do I need a starter? Do I need this guy here or not? That's where Sears with me. I think he's a good pitcher, but I think we don't need, here's the thing. I don't think we have a whole lot of time to develop them. where if he was with, say, the Washington Nationals, I think in a year or two, he'd be a great starter. So it's just, it's what are we looking for? If we have 4 horses and then we have him, then it's like, okay, no problem. So that's kind of where I'm at with him. But Campusano, I definitely let go.
Yeah, regarding Sears, it's going to depend on what else the Padres do with their starting rotation of free agency and trades, which we will talk about here in a second. Luis Campusano, we've talked about him a lot on this show. Realistically, he probably does need a fresh start somewhere else. At the same time, for $1 million, I think there's no harm in bringing him back. They need to actually give him playing time, whether that is as right-handed hitting first baseman, third catcher, DH type, or something. They can't just bring him up and stick him on the bench. But I do think at $1 million, there's no harm.
See, here's the thing is if we were coaches, we would be playing guys more on a regular basis and not switching guys out. Well, how they coach right now, they're switching guys out. So I don't think Campusano is going to be good for that. Like he has to dominate right away for him to stay there, before because they're going to start switching them out. And I just think with him and Sheets, you probably have more upside with Sheets, unfortunately. And just let Campusano go. And he'll probably be one of those guys that goes and does really well somewhere else because somebody will say, hey, be our DH for the first month of the season.
I've always said it would not surprise me if in 5 years we look up and Luis Campusano is hitting 5th as a DH for someone else hitting 25 homers a year. I think that's very, very feasible. All right, Heath, we're going to hit on the big guys now. The free agents, the Padres have 12 of them potentially. And there's one in particular I want to focus on as part of this week's DraftKings Player Spotlight. All right, Heath. So the Padres have 12 potential free agents, 6 of whom are core players, guys who are starting pitchers, closers, everyday players, 6 of whom are middle relievers, backup types, up and down types, etc. They have some decisions they have to make. So first and foremost, you look at the 6 kind of core players: Luis Arraez, Dylan Cease, Robert Suarez, Michael King, Ryan O'Hearn, Ramon Laureano. Ramon Laureano has a club option for $6.5 million. That's getting picked up. There's no question about it. Robert Suarez has a opt-out. He has 2 years, $16 million remaining on his deal. He's going to opt out. He's going to get more in free agency. Michael King has a mutual option for $15 million. He's going to opt out. He's going to get more than that in free agency. Even with his injuries, we see all the time, good starting pitchers get a lot more than that. Just look at Alex Cobb last year, who got $15 million for literally pitching 3 games the season before.
Good for him.
That brings us to Luis Arraez, Dylan Cease, and Ryan O'Hearn, all of whom are unrestricted free agents. And the guy that's going to be most interesting here is Luis Arraez. Arraez, the Padres can extend a qualifying offer to. The qualifying offer is expected to be about $22 million, a tick under. The final number will be established post-World Series. We've talked a lot about Arraez being a divisive player. Coaches, players, scouts love him. Analytics, model-driven teams don't. Would you extend Luis Arraez a qualifying offer at just under $22 million?
No, not at all. I mean, here's the thing, not just because he had a bad year last year, is because we have a couple bad contracts and we have some guys on the infield, and where are we going to put them? I mean, Arraez is not your typical, here's the thing. If I was coaching the San Diego Padres, Arraez would be my bench guy. He'd be my main guy to come off the bench and get a hit. And play like twice a week to give some guys days off. He'd my utility infielder / occasionally maybe a DH, whatnot, because I do have Manny, Bogarts, and Coneworth in the infield. So it's kind of like, where am I going to put him? He's not the best typical first baseman. Even if he's hitting 330, he doesn't really dream in the power. He's not a typical DH, even if he's hitting 300. So he's a guy that, unfortunately, unless I get him as a bench player, I'm not bringing it back for $22 million.
Yeah, I think the situation is if you extend that qualifying offer, he's probably going to take it because he's not going to get $22 million in free agency. Teams just don't value this kind of player, for better or worse, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, they just don't. So you risk being caught bringing him back for $22 million. And the Padres, given their needs, given their payroll situation, as much as I do like Luis Arraez and think he's a valuable hitter who helps your lineup, it's not the right move for the Padres. And I think that, look, if something happens where they can bring him back for a lot less money and it makes sense, sure, you're open to it, but not at the price point of him potentially accepting that qualifying offer. Because again, he's not going to decline it because he's not going to get that in free agency.
Yeah.
So
if he would come back for like 2 years 10 or 2 years 8, somewhere around there, I'd be like, sure, I'd pay him $4 million a year for $5 million to be my utility / if somebody gets hurt on the infield guy to play every day. But he wouldn't be my guy to play every day unless other people are hurt or
I
they're
probably
just
value
not
him.
performing.
I probably value him a little more. I could see 1 year 10 mil, 2 million, 2 years 20 mil, but
I'm still back in the days when guys on the bench got $1 million or $2 million. Now they're getting 5 to 7.
So again, it's going to be a decision that, look, it's one I know the Padres front office is weighing, but realistically, just given the rest of their roster, I think this is the first. We talk about the first steps their offseason blueprint. First is bring back 6 of those 7 ARB eligible guys, maybe all 7 of them. And then, unfortunately, I think you do decide not to tender Luis Arraez a qualifying offer. We'll see what happens in free agency. Heath, we have a lot more guys to talk about. There's a lot more key players the Padres can potentially bring back, and we will discuss them here after this quick word. Football is back, and so is your shot at big wins. With DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, your game day instincts can score you real money. Here's the play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and unlock the upside every snap brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. Play just $5, get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call, ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Welcome back to Friar Territory, presented by Fox One. All right, Heath, going back to this list of free agents on the left side column, who do you prioritize bringing back of that group?
Well, Ramon is the number one I'm bringing back. And then Ryan is kind of like, I got to figure out what I'm going to do if I bring him back because he's a possibility. And then my third, here's the thing. Number 1 is Ramon. Got to bring him back. Number 2 is Michael King or Ryan O'Hearn, and then let the other 3 guys go, unfortunately.
Yeah, so look, Ramon Laureano, his club option being picked up, that's an automatic. There's no question about it. That needs to happen. Luis Arraez, as we've talked about, at a qualifying offer of just under $22 million, it doesn't make sense to extend that to him given the Padres' needs. Dylan Cease, it does make sense to extend him a qualifying offer. They will and they should because he's going to turn that down, go sign for a lot more money somewhere else, even coming off of a bad year with his strikeout rate, his durability, and what starting pitchers make, even when they're not good. And he to be clear, he was fine. He's going to get a lot more than the $22 million he would get by accepting the qualifying offer.
Yeah,
so
for 1 year, and then
and
he probably wants a multi-year deal.
Absolutely. And the Padres get the draft picks. So, for all intents and purposes, that's what you do with those 2 situations. Bringing back Ryan O'Hearn does make a lot of sense. And we see, generally speaking, teams do not pay a lot of money for first baseman. So bringing him back at an affordable price point. Again, you don't want to get caught giving a first baseman, moving into his 30s, 7 years, $100 million plus dollars. But if you can bring him back on a 2 or 3 year deal, it makes sense. Michael King's the interesting one here because I do think the Padres would benefit from bringing him back. Look, Michael King has a mutual option. He's going to decline his side of it, hit the free agent market. Given the Padres' starting pitching needs, it would make sense to bring him back if they can. Look, Yu Darvish is going to be 39. He's had elbow issues for 3 straight years, and he was just not effective this year. You can't trust it. Joe Musgrove's coming off Tommy John surgery, and we see all the time guys' first years back from TJ are not great. It's the second year back that they kind of hit their stride. Nick Pivetta is going to be back. He'll be fine. You have no worries about him. Randy Vasquez stepped up beautifully, but bringing Michael King back, that will be your durable frontline ace. even with his injury issues this past year. Again, it depends what the price point is. And that's where I want to hit with you, Heath. At what price point would you be comfortable bringing Michael King back?
Well, let's see. How much is he making now? He's
well, so this is a $15 million mutual option. He's going to turn that down. So it minimum is going to be more than $15 million a year, and it's
so
probably
I would bring Michael King back for 2 years with an option, or a 3-year deal. That's because I think he has some upside, and I think I like him as a guy. So I think a 2-3 year deal, just because he was hurt, maybe you kind of have that leverage of, hey, we really want you back, pitch another like a year with an option or 2 years with an option where you can opt out if you want. You pitched great for 2 years. And then if you want to opt out and go get more at 32, 33, go do that. So I wouldn't lock him up long-term though. Cause here's my biggest thing. Darvish looked good in spring and then decided I'm not going to pitch until the next 2 months. I mean, it was kind of like an injury we didn't really know about. So I kind of predict he's going to be that guy again, unfortunately. So we're going to need some starting pitching.
Realistically, to bring Michael King back to compete with other offers he's going to get, it's going to have to be a long-term deal. 5-6 years, minimum 20 mil a year, probably 25 plus mil a year. I mean, you're looking at minimum 5 years, 115 probably. Potentially 6, 130, 140. I mean,
well, here's the thing. Are we going to be able to dump enough payroll? Because I know they don't want the payroll to really go up because, other guys are payrolls going up that's here for a long term. So it's almost like if we bring King back to like a 5 years, $100 million deal or whatnot, are we going to have to trade and dump some salary?
And that's where this gets a little bit tricky. The Padres are going to have to make these decisions, and that's why we're talking about them. Again, I think we're on the same page, right? We talk about taking a step back, looking at our blueprint. What have we said? Bring back potentially all 7 of your ARB eligible guys. Again, Jason Adam with his injury, a little dicey what you want to do there, but I think if you can bring him back, you do. You pick up Lorano's club option, you bring back Ryan O'Hearn, you let Cease, Arraez, and Suarez walk. The Padres have plenty of bullpen assets. They need to spend their money elsewhere. Michael King here is the X factor. And I think the answer is you do try to bring him back. You absolutely make competitive offers. You see what you can pull together to try and make something work. And if you do bring him back, great, awesome. Your starting rotation is better for it. And if you don't, okay, you have the salary now to go bring in some other players, whether it's additional starters, a couple bats, kind of spread it around. I just think that a durable frontline pitcher for the Padres to achieve their stated goals of winning a World Series is something they're going to have to need. They're going to need. Look, Pivetta stepped up as one this year, but you don't know where you're going to get from Darvish and Musgrove next year. I think having that second frontline kind of pitcher in Michael King is kind of a prerequisite to really be a World Series contender.
Well, you need somebody like him because let's just say Darvish is going to be what Darvish was this year, maybe a little bit better. Joe Musgrove is going to be a good pitcher next year. It's just how long is he going to last the whole year? But I'm kind of predicting he's not going to be the ace. He's going to be the number 2, number 3 until he's 100% ready. Just because coming back from that injury, your first year is usually not that as dominant as you want it to be. There's always good signs here and there, but still think he's a good sign. He'll be here for a couple more years, but we do need another like Michael King starter. We need another definite starter to kind of hit that rotation. Cause then you have 3 good starters and whatever Darvish gets, and then we could maybe keep Cease or find somebody else. So, or, here's a kind of a throw thing with the starter is, hey, does Miller want to be a starter, or are we just going to sit him as the bullpen guy? Maybe we can ease him into having a dominant number 1 starter as his career originally started at.
The Padres internally have had that conversation. I've had that with some of their front office guys.
Probably the answer is no.
Well, no, they are interested in exploring it. But again, you have to understand Mason Miller has never thrown 100 innings at any level of baseball, college, minors, nothing. There's just
So that's where you just kind of say, okay, he's my fourth. He's going to go 4 innings every game this year.
How valuable is that, though? You need length.
5 innings, and then you have another guy. I mean, but it's one of those things. Do you want Cease to kind of be a developing guy, or do you want to develop Miller? So it's kind of, it's a hard decision because we have so many bad contracts. I really believe that's why this is a really hard decision. If we didn't have 1 or 2 of the bad contracts, I think this would be a lot easier decision.
Yeah. But the same applies for Adrian Morejon. He came up as a starter. He never stayed healthy as a starter, ever. I covered him multiple years in the minor leagues. It was 2-3 innings, and his shoulder would hurt. He does not have the health or durability to start. Has never had it. It's not going to magically show up now. I do think both of them, the best version of them, and the way the Padres get the most value from both of them is by having them both in the bullpen. All right, Heath, to wrap it up, there are 6 other potential free agents for the Padres that are lesser types. Again, backups, up and down types, depth types overall. Jose Iglesias and Nestor Cortez are unrestricted free agents. Elias Diaz has a mutual option for $7 million. Wandy Peralta can opt out. Kyle Hart has a club option for $5 million. Tyler Wade has a club option for $1 million. What do you think the Padres should do with these 6?
You know what? Jose is the only guy that I would probably maybe try to come back, but he'll probably leave because he'll get more money. And then the rest of them, I would kind of say, hey, if you want to be in AAA, I'll pay you a good amount of money to stick in AAA, but otherwise, see you later.
Yeah, so Wandy Peralta's player option is for a little over $4 million. He's not going to opt out of that. Realistically,
no, I know
he'll be on the Padres next year. But look, Elias Diaz, $7 million mutual option to be a backup catcher. Padres decline their half of that every day. I do think you let Jose Iglesias and Nestor Cortez go into free agency. Kyle Hart at $5 million, you decline that. Let him hit the market. If he wants to come back on a minor league deal, cool, but you don't pay him $5 million. Tyler Wade, 1 year, $1 million. Sure. I mean, you can. Again, the minimum salary for big league is $750K. So it's an extra $250K for a veteran utility type as opposed to a rookie or second year utility type. I don't think it matters that much. So again, realistically, I think Peralta is going to come back. The other 5, probably let them all go. If you want to bring Wade back for $1 million, so be it. I don't think it's a big deal.
Well, Wade's probably going to be the only one to you bring him back to put him in the minor leagues. I mean, Hart's kind of the same way. You pay him like maybe league minimum and say, hey, we don't want any opt-outs, and you put him in AAA. And because I'm big on we need depth, so you load up our AAA with guys that are somewhat good, but you just stick them down there and say, look, we want you to be really good. And then whatever the best of you guys are, like starting pitchers, we're going to bring the starter up when somebody gets hurt. And 2 is position wise, like we're going to find the best hitter to bring up. You know, that's the key. We're just not going to just have random AAA guys from our farm system because they're just random guys, unfortunately, right now. And I hate to say that because I was that for such a long time. So it kind of hurts me to say that, but it's almost like they did trade away all their prospects, but we need AAA to be what 20 years ago the Mets were doing. They signed ex-major league players and they paid them like league minimum. And the AAA team, I remember when I was in A-ball AA, it was like our AAA team was a small big league team with all the guys that have had 3 or 4 years in the big leagues, but they were paying them a lot of money. And it was like, we're never getting to AAA until those guys get to the big leagues. But that's who they didn't go out and trade people. They just went and got those guys. They overpaid, so they had extra reserves.
Yeah, and again, there's no question that bolstering the depth at both AA and AAA will be key. So the Padres can call guys up who can actually help them as opposed to.
And it also helps your minor league guys. You're not bringing them up to AAA. Those are the guys that you sign to stay there, to come there, and you develop it in AA a little bit longer to get those guys ready. Because I remember, I mean, this is probably 20 years ago, pitchers had to throw 500 innings or you had to be in 500 games before you sniffed the big leagues. And batters, I think, had to have
1,500 at bats.
It was like 50. It was 2 years of 500 or 3 years of 500 at bats before you even sniffed the big leagues.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, he's hitting good in double A. Bring him up. Everybody gets streaky sometimes, and you really just need to develop these guys to be good ball players. They're not going to be superstars. You're going to draft those. You're going to find those. Yeah. They're diamond. They're needle in the haystack. It does happen. We have 2 of them, in Jackson Merrill and Tatis. But you need to develop your role players and bring them up, and they're just good ball players. They're just good pitchers. Are they going to be studs? No. But they're going to be good quality pitchers. They're going to get the job done. They're going to be they're getting singles. They're going to get on base. They're not going to do anything stupid. They're not going to be big holes in your lineup. Boom.
Yeah. And again, there's no question that bringing more talent into the organization at all levels of the organization would serve the Padres well. All right, Heath. So just to wrap it up, the first step for the Padres this offseason: Adrian Morejon, Jason Adam, Gavin Sheets, JP Sears, Mason Miller, Freddie Fermin, and potentially Luis Camposano all come back in arbitration. In free agency, you bring back Ramon Laureano and Ryan O'Hearn. You potentially bring back Michael King. Everyone else: Luis Arraez, Dylan Cease, Robert Suarez, Nestor Cortez, Elias Diaz, Jose Iglesias, Kyle Hart, and Tyler Wade, all gone. That is where we stand for the first steps. Free agency is still to come, but that's a whole nother show we will get into. Again, first step, figure out everything in-house. We're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsor, and then we are going to discuss everything else that has been happening here in the postseason, including Game 5 tonight between the Mariners and the Blue Jays, and what should be a thriller in the American League playoffs. Just a quick reminder for everyone, all of our coverage here at Friar Territory is brought to you by Fox One. Fox One is now live. Stream all of your Fox favorites together in one place, including every American League playoff game and the World Series. Heath, as we mentioned, the Mariners and Tigers face off tonight in Game 5 of the Division Series. Winner goes to the ALCS, loser goes home. Who you like?
Well, first of all, who do you like?
Well, so this is the Mariners.
Everybody's been asking me first, and then they kind of agree with me. So I'm like, wait a second. I'm going to ask somebody else first.
Look, we got Tarek Skubal going for the Tigers, George Kirby going for the Mariners, 2 of the best young pitchers in the American League. And look, Tarek Skubal is the best pitcher in the American League, period. No qualifier needed. Look, my pick has been the Mariners to reach the World Series out of the American League for a while now. So I feel like I can't jump off of that.
Okay. Well,
they're at home, but Tarek Skubal, that's a tall task.
So my pick is it's Seattle just a little bit, but I feel like, see, here's the thing. Detroit's been one of the best teams in the game, except for the last month of the season, really, maybe 2 months, and they kind of fell off. And I feel like they're starting to get their stride back, but it's just not there yet. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them win, but I just feel Seattle has the momentum and the energy just to take them. So I'm picking Seattle by a short margin. But in that side, I don't know, unless Seattle just starts to hit, I don't know if they can take Toronto. So, because Toronto's just tearing it up. But I feel like, I don't know. Right now, I think Seattle's got the edge. I really do. But it's just by a hair.
The Mariners being at home at T-Mobile Park, that is going to be a big, big, big edge in their favor. Again, is it big enough to overcome Tarek Skubal? We'll find out. But the Pacific Northwest, those fans are wild. It's going to be an incredible atmosphere.
Well, I will say this whole postseason, it's almost like if you're at home, it's almost like a 90% you're going to win. So anyway.
The other thing I want to mention, and you hit on this a second ago, is Toronto. The Blue Jays eliminated the Yankees last night. They won the ALDS 3-1. And Heath, one of the things that has been not bothering me, or I should say, 2 nights ago, they eliminated them. But one of the things that I've noticed is a lot of the discussion about that series has centered around what the Yankees did wrong, why the Yankees lost the series. Let's be clear here. Toronto was the 1 seed in the American League playoff field. Toronto is the American League East champion. Toronto is the team that beat the Yankees 11 times this year. They went 11-6 against the Yankees. The better team won. The Blue Jays left no doubt. They scored 37 runs in 4 games against the Yankees. They laid the wood on them. This was not short series, small sample size randomness. The short series, small sample size randomness would have been if the Yankees won. The better team won. And it feels like that has gotten lost because there's this, I don't know if it's entitlement or arrogance or the sense of the Yankees should always win. The better team won, period. The Blue Jays proved they were the better team over the course of 162, and throughout that series, they left no doubt.
I just think there's certain teams in certain sports that the analysts and people on TV just love talking about. And maybe because they grew up and that team was winning all the time and that they just root for them. But when you're an analyst, you're supposed to be kind of in the middle, especially if you're not like just, we do a Padre show. If you were like doing just a baseball show, you shouldn't really have your favorites or at least not talk about them, But I just feel even when I played, it was like always the East Coast, the Yankees and Red Sox. We always talk about them. And even here's the thing, they still do. The Phillies are a really good team and they talk about the Mets. They talk about the New York teams, but Philly's really good and they don't really talk about them all that much. And, and I understand the time zone, this and that, but I really feel like there's just a bias. They talk about the Yankees. What happened to them? Well, Toronto just tore a new butt into them. They're really good. They can hit. They can play defense, and they're pretty good pitchers too. So it's just kind of like that. That's a team that really all the analysts were saying, "Hey, Toronto should have been 2 years ago or last year," and they just kind of started doing it together. It took them a little bit of time, but they're putting it together. So yeah, Toronto they just won. They're just the better team.
Yeah. Again, if you haven't been paying attention to Toronto and weren't aware of how good they are, that's a you problem. They were the better team, period, end of discussion, and they proved it. Again, this was not a close series. This was not a tight-knit series. The Blue Jays laid the wood on them.
Oh, yeah, they were a good team. It's like in the early 90s. They were mid to early 90s. Toronto was just a force to be reckoned with.
They were. Now they're back in the ALCS for the first time since 2016. And look, there's a lot more good stuff to come on Fox. The Blue Jays will host either the Mariners or Tigers in the ALCS, and you will be able to catch it all on Fox and Fox One. Once again, we encourage everyone, head on over, check out Fox One. There's so much good stuff over there, from the MLB postseason to the NFL on Fox to Big Noon Saturdays with Fox One. You get it all live. Start your 7-day free trial today. Offers are subject to change. Go to fox1.com for complete terms and conditions. Fox One, streaming now. All right, Heath, as we wrap up here, I do want to hit on the other National League playoff series. The Dodgers take down the Phillies in what was probably one of the most heart-wrenching ways possible from the Phillies' perspective. Orion Kerkering gets a comebacker, bobbles it, panics, throws home. As a relief pitcher who has pitched in plenty of high-pressure moments, what was your thought when that happened?
Crap. It was like, here's the thing. I think relievers, they work on their craft. They do really well. But the one knock I would say that a lot of them don't do is that high pressure situation. But the thing is, they don't practice it. We're just kind of like given. We're good in that situation. But when, like, lack of better words, when the shit hits the fan, can you still stay calm? And it just, man, the worst part is he stumbled. He picked up the ball. If he would have just looked at home, but he just threw it without looking, and you always have to look before you throw. The catcher is just pointing to first base. Yeah. I mean, go, oh, yeah, shoom. And if you throw it to first, then you could say, well, I got the yips or I shouldn't have done it. But, man, I feel for him. I feel for him. I remember in 2007 when we lost the 163 game in San Diego against the Rockies. It was a hard offseason, and his offseason is going to be tough. Yeah. He's just got to let it go and know that he's a great pitcher. He's going to have a good career, and just focus on his craft and just don't worry about it. And people are going to bring it up, but just don't worry about it and just put his head down and start working, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, again, very, very talented pitcher. Zipped through the minors, has been dominant in relief for the Phillies. And again, this goes back to, you talk about obviously, in baseball at every level, before the pitch is thrown, as a position player, you tell yourself, okay, if the ball's hit to me, here's where I'm going with it. It's part of the
Yep.
pre-pitch preparation. That's a tongue twister.
It's funny that you tell little leaguers this, but we forget it as we get older.
Well, what I was going to say, from the pitcher's perspective, and you can speak to this, your focus is much more on executing your pitch. So that mental reminder that, look, position players in the majors at all levels still do, some better than others, but as a pitcher, that's just not where your focus is. And it just, you feel for them because, again, the situation being what it is, it's just tough.
Oh, I hear you. It's one of those things that you tell little leaguers, you tell your kid, hey, know where you're going to do it before you do it. And then when you get to the big leagues, I mean, I know you focus on pitching, but like it was Fabregas that I know when I was pitching, there were certain guys that couldn't throw the ball to first or couldn't pick to first. And I'm like, don't you ever work on it? So, I mean, whatever I was not good at, I really tried to work on.
Yeah.
At least made myself good, not great at it. So,
yeah, well, we shall see. But the Dodgers are headed to the NLCS. The Cubs and Brewers will play Game 5 on Saturday. The Cubs have bounced back from a 2-0 deficit. We'll see if they can complete the comeback in Milwaukee, or if the Brewers, who have the best record in baseball, were able to finish that series off. Heath, any final thoughts as we wrap up our show here today?
Cub fans, if you want to win, you better have more fans out there than Milwaukee, because it seems like the hometown wins there. And then whoever plays the Dodgers, come on. Don't make errors. Last year they won the World Series because New York couldn't make the plays. Philly, unfortunately, couldn't make a play and moved on to the next round. So play good fundamental baseball. That will get you to the World Series and possibly win it.
Absolutely. Also, quick reminder to everyone, we've got swag, Friar Territory, shirts, hats, cups, stickers, notebooks, bags, backpacks. All of it's available, friarterritoryshop.com. Head over there now. We love your support. We've gotten so much of it all year. We are incredibly grateful for it. We look forward to continue to bring you the show here in the offseason. For Heath Bell, I'm Kyle Glaser. Thank you for watching and listening. See you next week.